Good morning, all of you. Welcome to MCSL 016 Internet Concepts and Web Designing Lab section. And here we have completed the unit 2 and 3. Today we are discussing unit 4, Introduction to JavaScript. So this is the content. Unit 4, Introduction to JavaScript, and first part is the introduction part, then the objectives, JavaScript variables and data types, then how we can declare a variable, what are data types. These are the things that we want to cover today. So first part, introduction. So JavaScript is the programming language of the web. So what is JavaScript, if you are asking? Then JavaScript is the programming language for the web, and it is used mainly for validating forms. So last class we have discussed how we can create forms. So this JavaScript is a programming language for the web, and it is used mainly for validating these forms. Validating forms means, for example, in a form we are collecting the age of some persons, and the purpose is for checking whether they are eligible for the vote. That means if the age greater than or equal to 18, they are eligible for vote. So we are collecting the age and we are trying to check, or we are collecting the age, and before submitting we are checking that the age field, the value there entered, the value in this age field is greater than or equal to 18. Then only we want to submit the form. So it is used, this JavaScript is used mainly for validating forms. So this type of thing that we are call it as validation. JavaScript is based on an object model that we will discuss what is this object model and what are objects. And in this unit you will learn how to write JavaScript code and insert them into your HTML document, and how to make your page more dynamic and interactive. That we are discussing in this unit. So let us first see the skeleton of a JavaScript file. So this is the skeleton of a JavaScript file. So first part, HTML head, title, and this JavaScript code. This JavaScript code be written between the script and /script tags. So if you want to write a JavaScript, we are normally, it's not compulsory, but normally we are writing this JavaScript language or JavaScript code, we are writing in between the script and /script. It is compulsory. And we are writing normally the code in between this head and /head tags. It is not compulsory, but by practice we are writing it in between head and /head. If you want to write the code in body part, that's also possible. We will discuss how we can write this code in between body and /body. So JavaScript code should be written between the script and /script tags. So that is the first thing. So here this is the script part and this is the /script part. So the value language equal to JavaScript indicates to the browser that JavaScript code has been used in the HTML document. There is no need for writing all the HTML. This JavaScript is using all the HTML. There is no we are not using. If you don't want this JavaScript in an HTML document, there is, if it is not compulsory. Okay, if we are using JavaScript in an HTML document, we should specify that in the script part, the opening tag of the script part. How we can specify it? Script language equal to JavaScript. What it means? The value language equal to JavaScript indicates to the browser that JavaScript code has been used in the HTML document. So if we are using JavaScript in an HTML document, it is not compulsory that all the HTML code should have JavaScript. It is not compulsory. So if you are using JavaScript in an HTML document, what do you want to do? You have to specify that script in the opening tag of script language equal to JavaScript. It tells the browser that JavaScript code has been used in the HTML document. Okay, it's a good practice, programming practice, to include the JavaScript code within the head and /head tag. It is a good programming practice, but it is not compulsory. You can use this in between the body and /body also. Okay, so this is a skeleton. First we want to write the HTML and then head title. We want to close the title, and before closing the head, we want to write script language equal to JavaScript, and the script in between, we are writing the script that we want to write it in between the script and /script. The next one, JavaScript variables and data types. In all programming languages, we are using variables and data types. So variables store and retrieve data, also known as values. So what's the use of these variables? Variables are used for storing data and also retrieving the stored data. Data, normally we call it as values. So a variable can refer to a value which changes or is changed. So that's why we call it as variable. Variable means the thing that is varying. So variable can refer to a value. We can refer a variable to a value and which changes. That's why we call it as variables. Then variables are referred to by names. By using a name, we can refer a variable. Then the variable name must conform to certain rules. While we are creating variables, all of you are familiar with this C programming language, the naming conversions, all of you are familiar. The same way here also we can use that in the same way. JavaScript identifier or name must start with a letter or underscore. So this is the first rule. JavaScript identifier or name or a variable name must start with a letter or underscore. Underscore means shift minus. Then subsequent characters can also be digits. So the variable name should begin with a letter or underscore, and the subsequent characters may be digits. Then because JavaScript is case sensitive, it's very important that the JavaScript is case sensitive. Let us include the character capital A through capital Z, that is uppercase letters, and the characters small a through small z, lowercase letters. So these are case sensitive. Capital A and small a are not same. Capital B and small b is not same. So variable names are chosen to be meaningful and related to the value that they hold. For example, normally we are using as ABC. So if you are calculating the percentage of mark, we should give the variable name as percentage or percentage mark. That is the good practice for giving variable name. For example, a good variable name for containing the total price of goods, that would be total underscore price, or percentage of mark, percentage underscore mark, or total marks, total underscore mark. So this is the good practice for naming variables. Then declaring variable. How we can declare a variable? You can declare a variable with the var statement, var. Here example, var str name, that is the name of a variable equal to some value. So this is the syntax. For example, var my name equal to Jeevan, my name equal to Jeevan, my underscore name, space is not permissible. So my underscore name equal to Jeevan. This way that we can declare a variable, and a value. Along with the value, we can declare a variable like this, var. That is the keyword, and my underscore name is the name of the variable, equal to given is the value. So where we are referring my name, so that will be the value of my name will be given. Then you can also assign a value to a variable like this, var str equal to value. That means you can declare a variable like this. For example, var pr underscore marks. This is the declaration of a variable. Along with the declaration, we can also give the value. So here var str name equal to hello, and or like this str name equal to hello. We can avoid this var. And directly we can give variable name equal to value. Okay. Then lifespan of a variable. All of you are familiar with this lifespan or scope of a variable. Scope, S-C-O-P-E, scope of a variable or lifespan of a variable. When you declare a variable within a function, we will discuss about functions later. So if you are declaring a variable within a function, the variable can be accessed only within that function. That we know. That in C also, in Java, in C, C++, in I think all the programming languages, this is the practice. When you declare a variable within a function, we are declaring a variable within a function, and the scope of that variable or the life of that variable should only be within that function. If we are calling the variable outside the function, then it's not possible. When you exit the function, the variable is destroyed. These variables are called local variables. So the variables that we are using within a function, we call it as local variables. The variables that we are using within a function, and that variable is called local variables. You can have local variables with the same name in different functions. So in one function we are using variable a, and another function also we are using the same variable a. So that is different. In one function, in function 1 we are using the variable a and we are giving the value 21 in that variable, and another function we are also using the same variable a and there we are giving the value 10 to that variable. But both the variables are different, not same. So you can have local variables with the same name in different functions because each is recognized only by the function in which it is declared. So if you declare a variable outside a function, all the functions on your page can access it. So if you are declaring a variable outside all the functions, then all the functions on your page can access that variable. The lifetime of these variables starts when they are declared and ends when the page is closed. So that variable can be accessed in all the variables, and that type of variables that we call it as global variables. That variable can access. How we can declare a global variable? That variable should be declared outside in all the functions, outside of all the functions. So the lifetime of that global variable starts when they are declared and ends when the page is closed. The next one, data types. A value, the data assigned to a variable, that we call it as a value, may consist of any sort of data. So for example, here my underscore name equal to, we are giving it as given. Also my underscore age equal to, we are giving it as 20. So given is one type of variable, 20 is another type of variable. So a value, the data assigned to a variable, that we call it as value. So given is one value, 20 is another value. May consist of any sort of data. Here it is a string type data. Given is the string type data, 20 is an integer type data. Then depending on the type of data, it may be integer, it may be Boolean, it may be a double type data, or it may be a string type data. Certain operations may or may not be allowed on the value. So based on the type of data, certain operations may be in some type data, some operation may be allowed and another type of operations that may not allowed. For example, you cannot arithmetically multiply two string values. For example, my name 1 equal to Jeevan, my name 2 equal to another name, Anand. It is not possible to arithmetically multiply these two variables. My name 1 into my name 2 will not allow. Then variables can be of these types. In JavaScript, we are using the variable types. Number type variable that you can use in JavaScript. Then Boolean type is there, string is there, object, null, undefined. All these are the types, or all these are the data types that we can use with JavaScript. It's there in your text. You can go through it. And now I am not trying to read all these things. So the data types, then description means 3 or 7.987 are the examples of integer and floating point numbers. So here there is no discrimination of number decimal like that, integer decimal like that. Here we are using number. So 3 and 7.98. 7.9 is in C we are using the 7.987 as double type, and 3 is an integer type. So here there is no discrimination. You can use number for both. Then Boolean type, all of you are familiar, true or false values that we are giving in Boolean type. String type, within double quotes we are giving the string data. If you are giving 20 in double quotes, that also will be treated as string. What all things that we are giving within double quotes will be treated as string data type. Then object that we will discuss later. Then null, not the same as 0. Null value is one type of value that is also in the flow of this explanation. We can see this null type data type, null data type. Then undefined data type means we are not defining at the time of declaration, and when we are giving the value, automatically the variable will be treated as that type of data. Then statements and operators. Here assignment operators are there. I am not going deeply for these types of things because you already studied all these things in C. So this assignment operator that we are giving it for assigning values. For example, operator equal to, set one value equal to another. For example, A equal to 10 means what? The value of A is now 10. Then plus equal to, shortcut for adding to the current value. A equal to A plus 1, we can say it as plus equal to. A plus equal to 1 means A equal to A plus 1. Minus equal to, A equal to A minus 1, we can give it as shortcut for A minus equal to 1. A plus equal to 1 means it's equal to A equal to A plus 1. A equal to A plus 1 and A plus equal to 1 is equal. A into equal to 1 means A equal to A into 1. So these types of things you already studied in C programming. The next one, comparison operators. Comparison operators that we are using it for comparing values. The comparison operators compare two items and return a value. Either true or false value will be returned when we are using this comparison operators. For example, operator equal to. Single equal to and double equal to are not same. Single equal to that we are using it as an assignment operator here, and double equal to that we are using it as a comparison operator. Double equal to, we are checking if A greater than B, or if A equal to B, or A not equal to B, like this. not equal to, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. All these are comparison operators, and the result will be either true or false based on the values. The next one, computational operators. The computational operators perform a mathematical function on a value or values and return a single value. Operator plus a plus b. What is the result? It's the sum of a and b. A minus b, subtract one value from another. A into b multiplies two values, a by b, then plus result, increment the value and then return the result. A plus and plus a, you know the difference. If you are using plus a means plus a, increment the value. First it will increase or increment the value, then return the result. Here first return the result, then increment the value. Same that minus and x minus x and x minus, or minus a and a minus. All these are same as that of C language. Then logical operators. The logical operators evaluate expression and then return a true or false value based on the result. Here we are using logical operators, logical and, two ampersand symbols, logical or, two pipe symbols, and not. So operators, logical and, we are using this as comparing or combining two or more values, we are using it. If day equal to Friday and date equal to 13, we are comparing both the values. The result will be true only if all the values is true. That is AND operator. We can compare or combine many values and result will be true only if all the values become true. Then operator, OR operator. This is the OR operator. We are using it as two pipe symbols. OR operator, any of the value is true, then the output will be true. All the values are false, all the comparisons will be false, then the result will be false. Same as C language. Then control structure statements. Control structure statements, JavaScript supports the usual control structure statements. So control structure means controlling the structure of a program. First one, conditional operators. We are using if, first one, if else, second one, and switch for conditional operators, and iteration statements for while, do while. Break and continue is come with looping statements, and break will come along with this conditional statement. Switch, normally we are using it with switch. So we are discussing one by one. First one, control structure statements are conditional statements and iteration statements. We can divide this control structure statements. First one, conditional statements, and second one is iteration statements. Conditional statements are used for checking some conditions. Based on the value of that condition, result of the condition, value of the condition, the result will come. In iteration statements, that we are using it for repeatedly work some portion of the program, that we are using this iteration statements. Iteration statements that we are discussing in this unit are for while, do while. So first one, conditional statements. So very often when you write code, you want to perform different actions for different decisions. You can use conditional statements in your code to do this. So very often when you write code, you want to perform different actions for different decisions. So in JavaScript, we have three conditional statements. First one, if statement, second one, if else statement, and the last one, switch statement. So what's the use of this if statement? Use this statement if you want to execute a set of code when a condition is true. If some condition is true, then we can use for executing some set of code, we can use, in that situation we can use if condition. Then if else statement, use this statement if you want to select one of two sets of codes to execute. If the condition is true, then some set of code should be executed, and if the condition is false, other set of code should be executed. In that situation, we are using this if-else statement, and the switch statement uses statement if you want to select one of many sets of code to execute. If some particular condition is true and we want to execute some more codes, in that situation we are using this switch statement. So we are discussing one by one. First one, if statement. Use this statement if you want to execute a set of code when a condition is true. For example, if age greater than or equal to 18. If age greater than or equal to 18, document.write eligible for what? For something, by using this JavaScript, we want to write something in the browser window. We are using this document.write within bracket, within double quotes, we can enter the string type data, and without quotes we can give other type of data. So if age greater than or equal to 18, then what it will print? It will print eligible for vote in the browser window. For example, we are giving the value age equal to 22. So age will be replaced with 22. If 22 greater than or equal to 18, the condition is true, then what will happen? It will enter inside the condition statement within this open brace and close brace. The control will be move inside the open brace and close brace. Then what are the statements inside? Only one statement is there, that is document.write eligible for vote. It will print eligible for vote in the browser window. And we are giving the age equal to 2. For example, we are giving the age equal to 2 only. Then again it will check 2 greater than or equal to 18. Here the condition is false. 2 is not greater than or equal to 18. Then what will happen? Nothing will happen. The control will move after the closing brace of the if. This is the first case. Then the second case, that is if-else statement. So use this statement if you want to select one of two sets of code to execute. For example, here age greater than or equal to 18. So here we are giving, again we are giving the value of age equal to 25. Then this 25 will be replaced with the age over here. Then 25 greater than or equal to 18, the condition is true. Then what will happen? It will enter inside the open brace of the if statement. So here document.write eligible for vote. Then after that it will move out of the if statement. It will not enter the else part. Again we are giving the value here age equal to 2. So 2 greater than or equal to 18. Here the condition is false. If the condition is false, then it will move inside the opening brace of else statement. It will skip the if statement and enter inside the in between the open and closing brace of else statement. Here what will happen? Document.write not eligible for vote. So then it will print not eligible for vote in the browser window. Okay. This is if statement and if else statement. Here one example. If n greater than 0, and another type of this is a if and else, we can give as many ifs or else inside one if or one else. This is one example. If a greater than 0, sorry, if n greater than 0, then what will happen? Document.write positive number. Then else, again we are in the else part, again we are giving another if statement. If n less than 0, then document.write negative number, and else means n not greater than 0 and not less than 0, then it will print document.write 0. So we can give if else statement inside another if else statement. This type statements also we can give by using this if-else statement. The next one, switch. So we discussed the if statement only, then if-else statement and nested if-else statement. Here switch statement. If there exist multiple conditions, the switch statement is recommended. This is because only one expression gets evaluated based on which control directly jump to the respective case. So here switch, the syntax is, first we want to give the keyword switch, and within that brackets of switch we want to give the variable name. Here we are using myvar, that is a variable name. Then after that we want to open the brace of switch. Then inside this opening brace we can use case 1 colon. Case 1, then put a colon. That means if the value of myvar equal to 1, then what will happen? In between the case 1 and break, where we are seeing the break, that much of statements will be executed. So case 1 colon, if myvar is 1, this is executed. Something we are giving in between this case 1 and between break. Here we are not using the break. Then what will happen, that we will discuss. Here next case, that is case sample, that is a string type data colon, if myvar is sample, then this much of portion will be executed. Not this much of portion, that we will discuss. Then case false, another type. Boolean type data we use, the value may be either true or false. If it is false, then this much of statement will be executed. And default means the value of myvar is not 1, not sample and not false. Then what will happen? It will directly move to the default part. Then the default portion, what we are over there, will be executed. Here there is some problem is there in this switch statement. This is the example taken from your text. So depending on the value of myvar, the statement of the respective case gets executed. Okay. If a case is satisfied, for example, the value of myvar equal to sample, okay, or value of myvar equal to 1, if a case is satisfied, the code beyond that case will also be executed. What will happen? If the case of if the value of myvar equal to 1, then what will happen? It will enter inside the case 1. This much of code will be executed. Then after that, what will happen? It will move down the next case also. That is, it will move down and execute this code. Then also it will move down and execute this case. Also, the default case will also be executed if the value of case equal to, if the value of myvar equal to 1. So if a case is satisfied, the code beyond that case will also be executed unless the break statement is used. Here we are not used the break statement. Then what will happen? If we are not using the break statement in between a case, then what will happen? And the condition or the control will be entered into a particular case. The case below that, all the cases below that, including the default case, also be executed. This is the problem in switch statement. So in the above example, if myvar equal to 1, for example, in the above example, here the value of myvar equal to 1, myvar, what's the value of myvar? It's equal to the value of myvar equal to 1. Then what will happen? It will enter inside the case. First it will check the value of myvar equal to 1. Yes. Now the value of myvar equal to 1. Then what will happen? It will enter inside this case 1. Also it will enter inside the case sample. Also it will enter inside the case false. And also it will enter inside the case default. So how we can avoid this? The code for case sample, case false and default will all be executed as well. So how we can avoid this, that we will discuss in the next slide. Here one example, that is switch of, here we used the variable day. That means the day number, 1 for Sunday, 2 for Monday, like that. So here we are using the value of day equal to 1. Then value of day equal to 1, it will check case 1. Case 1 means what? The value of day equal to 1, it is checking that the value of day equal to 1. Yes, the value of day is 1. Then what will happen? Document dot print Sunday. It will print Sunday, the browser window. Then break. Then what will happen? When a break is there in a switch statement or an iteration statement, what will happen? It will move out of the closing brace of the switch. Where is the closing brace of the switch? This is the closing brace of the switch. So after entering a case, print something or do something, and here you can see a break. Then what will happen? The control will move out of the closing brace of switch statement. So it will print Sunday, then move out of the break statement. And if we are not using this break statement, what will happen? It will print Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not a valid day, then it will move out. So that type of case or that situation, that we call it as fall through. It's not in your text. I think it's not in your text. What is this fall through? If we are forgot to give break in the case of a switch statement, then the control will enter to a particular case and it will continue executing all the cases below that case, including the default case. That situation, that we call it as fall through. Okay. So now the value of, for example, now the value of day equal to 4. Then what will happen? Switch day, now the value of day equal to 4. Then it will check case 1 means, is the value of day equal to 1? No, it's not 1. It will check again case 2. Is the value of day equal to 2? No, it's not 2. Again it will check case 3 means the value of day equal to 3. No, it's not 3. So again case 4, what is the value of day now? The value of day equal to 4. Then what will happen? It will print document dot write Wednesday, then break. Move after printing Wednesday, it will move out of the switch statement. Okay, now we are giving the value of day equal to 40. So here it will check if the value of day equal to 1. No, it is not 1. 2, not, it is not 2. 3, not 3. 4, not 4. Not 5, not 6, not 7. So these are the, now the cases in this switch are over. Then what will happen? If the value of day is not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, then what will happen? It will move the default statement. The control will move to the default statement and what all things there are written will be printed over there. So it will print document.write means it will print not a valid day number. So the valid day numbers are, we know that the valid day numbers are starting from 1 to 7. 1 for Sunday, 2 for Monday, like that, and the 7 for Saturday. If we are giving the values not in between 1 and 7, then the control will move to the default path and what all things there will be printed over. So it will print not a valid day. So this is an example for switch statement with break. The next type, that is loop statements. So a loop is a set of commands that executes repeatedly until a specified condition is met. So what's the use of looping statement? We are using it for execute a set of code repeatedly until a specified condition is met. So this JavaScript supports two types of loop. First one is for loop and while loop. Another one, for in execute statements repeatedly, but is used for object manipulation. So that we will discuss what is object. So we are using this for and while statements are the iteration statements. The loop, another name for this loop statement is iteration statement, iteration. So In addition, you can use the break and continue statements within this loop statements also. Break statement that we already used with this switch statement, and also you can use this break, and one more statement is there, continue is also there. That's also break and continue you can use along with this loop statement also. Then first iteration statement, that is for statement. A for loop repeats until a specified condition evaluates to false. If the condition is true, then some set of statements will be executed, and if the condition becomes false, then the execution will be stopped. So this is the syntax. This is the syntax for the for statement. For, we want to give for in lowercase letters, then open bracket, then initialization expression. Here we want to give the initialization expression, then put a semicolon, and the condition that we want to check will be written over here, then put a semicolon, then increment expression, that is update expression. In your text it is written as increment expression. It is not only increment expression, it may be, normally we call it as the update expression. Update expression, it may be increment or decrement. Then in between the open and close braces we can give the statements. Then when a for loop executes, the following sequence of operations occur. First one, the initializing expression, initial expression, if any, is executed. So when the for looping statement start the execution, then what will happen? First it will execute the initialization expression part. What all things that we are giving in that initialization expression will be executed first. If more than one initialization is there, then you can separate it by using the comma. Then the second one, the conditional expression is evaluated. The second part is the conditional evaluation. If the value of condition is true, then the loop statement continue to execute, and if the value of condition is false, the loop terminates. So this is the conditional part, conditional expression part, and the last one is update expression, maybe an increment or decrement. The statement gets executed and control returns to step 2. So update expression we will discuss it with the help of an example. So this is the for looping statement. Actually the syntax provides for a single statement when enclosed in braces, opening brace and closing brace. Any number of statements are treated as a single statement. So I think all of you are familiar with that. If you are using in if statement are this iteration statements, even in the if statement and this iteration statement also we can use braces. If you want to execute more than one statement within the if and looping statement, we can use this brace statement. For example, if age greater than or equal to 18, the previous example, then we are giving a brace document dot write eligible for vote. Then we want to also give another statement along with this, that is document dot write, we want to give all the best. Then we are giving the closing brace. So if the age greater than or equal to, then what will happen? It will enter inside this if statement and it will print, first it will print the document dot write eligible, then it will print all the best. Why? Because we use this open brace and close brace. Normally we are using this open brace and close brace in an if statement or in an iteration statement for executing more than one statement if the condition is true. That type of, in that situation we are using this brace. Also we can use for I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 5, I plus plus. Then document dot write numbers again. Document dot write I. What will be the output of this? First it will print numbers, put a colon, then it will print 1. Again in the same line, here we are not used this slash n, the same line it will print numbers, then 2 up to 5. And if we are not using these braces in between, then what will be the output? For example, for I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 5, I plus plus, document dot write numbers. Then what will be the output? It will print numbers colon, again numbers colon, again numbers colon. How many times? It will print numbers 5 times. Then only it will move out of the loop. When it will out of the loop, then the value of I equal to 6. Then it will print. After printing the fifth number, it will print 6. This is the output of this program. So I think you are familiar with this. You studied C. Okay, next one, while statement. The while statement defines a loop that iterates as long as a condition remains true. Same thing like for while condition, but the structure is different. Here, while we want to give the condition, then if there are more statements, then you can give the open brace and close brace. In between the open brace and close brace, you can give the statements. Example here, n equal to 1, we define or we declare a variable, an integer type variable n, the value of that n equal to 1. And here use the while statement, n less than or equal to 5. Document dot write n plus plus, sorry, document dot write n, then n plus plus. So here in for looping statement, the for looping statement, here the syntax, initialization, condition and update statements are along with the for statement. Once more, the initialization expression, the conditional expression and the update expressions are along with the for statement. But here, the initialization expression is above the while statement and the update expression is within the while statement. This is the difference. So in while statement, the initialization, this is the initialization part, n equal to 1, and the conditional statement is along with the while statement. So the initialization expressions is before the while statement and the conditional expression is along the while statement and the updation expression is within the while statement. This is the difference. Here example, n equal to 1, we are giving the value of n equal to 1 and it will check 1 less than or equal to 5. Yes, 1 less than or equal to 5. 1 is less than 5. Then what will happen? This is the open brace of while statement. It will enter inside the loop. Then it will print document dot write n, means it will print 1. N plus plus means n equal to n plus 1. Now the value of n equal to 2. 2 less than or equal to 5. Yes, 2 less than 5. It will enter, the control will enter inside the while looping statement. Again it will print document dot write. The value of n is now 2. It will print 2. Then n plus plus. Now the value of n equal to 3. Again it will check 3 less than or equal to 5. Yes, 3 less than 5. Enter inside the loop. Print 3. Now the value of n equal to 4. Again it will print 4. Now the value of n equal to 5. It will check n less than or equal to 5. No, n is not less than 5, but n is equal to 5. Again it will print inside the loop. it will print 5. Now n plus plus, now the value of n equal to 6. 6 less than or equal to 5. 6 is not less than or 6 is not equal to 5. Then what will happen? It will move, the control will move out of the closing brace of the while loop. So it will print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the same line, and after that the control will move outside the closing brace. So in a while loop, the condition is evaluated first. First the condition will be evaluated first before executing the statement. For example, here the value of n equal to 11. For example, it will check 11 less than or equal to 5. 11 is not less than 5 and also 11 is not equal to 5. Then what will happen? In the beginning, the condition is the condition is checked and the condition is now false. So what will happen? It will move outside the while looping statement, so nothing will print. So in while looping statement, the condition is evaluated first before executing the statement. Then another statement, that is for in statement. This is a different type of loop used in iterate through the properties of an object or the elements of an array. That we are using it for in statement. For example, consider the following statement, that loop through the properties of the scores object using the variable x to hold each property in turn. For example, for x in scores statements. So this is the way. It is not deeply discussed in your text. Only this much of portion is there. For in. That for in, normally we are using it for along with this objects or elements of an array. The next one, break statement, that we already discussed. The break statement is used for terminating the current while loop, for loop or switch statement. Then transferring program control to the statement just after the terminated loop, that we will discuss here. The following functions has a break statement that terminates the while loop when I becomes equal to 3 and then return the value 3 into x. Okay, so the break statement is used for terminating the current while loop. If you are using more than 2 loops, then it will terminate the current while loop or for loop or switch statement. Then the control transfer the program control to the statement just after the terminated loop. Okay, here one example, function. Here we created a function, that we will discuss how we can create a function in JavaScript. Okay, the name of the function is test break, and one argument is there, that is x. Then inside the loop we are declaring and giving a value. We are declaring a variable I and giving the value 0. Then while I less than 6, start the while loop. Then if I equal to 3, break. If the value of I is not equal to 3, then the value of I will be incremented by 1, I plus plus. Then after exiting from this while looping statement, it will return I into x. This is the function. This is the use of break statement, that already we discussed how this break works in switch statement. The next one, continue. Continue statement. A continue statement terminates execution of the block of statements in a while or for loop, and what will happen? Continue execution of the loop with the next iteration. The continue statement terminates execution of the block of statements in a while or for loop and continues execution of the loop with the next iteration. So in contrast to the break statement, continue does not terminate the execution of the loop entirely. If you are using break in a looping statement, what will happen? That looping statement will be terminated. But if you are using a continue statement in a looping statement, it will not terminate the loop entirely. So instead, in a while loop, it jumps back to the condition, and in a for loop, it jumps back to the increment expression. So we will discuss I equal to 0 while I less than 5, I plus plus. If I equal to 3, continue document dot I. Okay, here I will explain this program by using break and continue. Okay, first one, I equal to 0. We declare a variable I and initialize the value 0 to that I. And we are checking while I less than 0. That means we are substituting the I with 0, 0 less than 5. 0 is less than 5. Then what will happen? The control will enter inside the while loop I plus plus. Now the value of I equal to 1. I plus plus means 0 plus 1, 1. Then if I equal to 3, the value of I is not equal to 3. The value of I is now 1. What will happen? It will move the next statement, that is document dot write I. So what's the value of I? Value of I equal to 1. Then again 1 less than 5, the condition is true. It will enter inside the loop I plus plus. Now the value of I equal to 2. Then 2 equal to 3. No. Then what will happen? It will write document dot write I. The value of I will be written over here. Then again, now the value of I equal to 2. 2 less than 5. Condition is true. I plus plus. Now the value of I is 3. I equal to 3. I equal to 3. 3 equal to 3. The condition is true. Then what will happen? It will enter inside the if statement. There only one statement is there, that is continue. And what will happen? It will not move down. It will not move down. Instead of that, it will continue the iteration. It will move up. Now the value, again it will check. Now the value is 3. 3 less than 5. Condition is true. I plus plus. The value of I equal to 4. 4 equal to 3. No. Then it will continue with the document dot write. That is document dot write the value of I. Value of I is now 4. Then again 4 less than 5. I plus plus. Now the value of I equal to 5. 5 equal to 3. No. Then again it will print document dot write the value of I5. Then again it will check 5 less than 5. The condition is false. 5 is not less than 5. Then what will happen? It will move out of the while loop. So the output of this program is, it will print 1, 2, 4 and 5. It skips the value 3. Again we are using, instead of this continue, we are using, for example, instead of this continue we are using break. For example. So first the value I equal to 0, I less than 5, that is 0 less than 5, condition is true, I plus plus. Now the value of I equal to 1. 1 equal to 3, no, document dot write 1. Again 1 less than 5, condition is true, I plus plus, that is I equal to 2. Then if 2 equal to 3, no, then document dot write 2. Then again 2 less than 5, I plus plus. Now the value of I equal to 3. 3 equal to 3. Then what will happen? It will enter inside if. Here it is written break. Then what will happen? The control will move out of the loop. If a break statement is there in a looping statement, then what will happen? The control will move out of the looping statement. So what will happen? It will print only 1 and 2. And if you are using continue, then what will happen? It will print 1, 2, 4 and 5. Only 3 will be skipped. So this is the output when you are using continue and break in a looping statement. The next one, object-based programming. So JavaScript is a very powerful object-based or prototype-based language. JavaScript is not a full-blown object-oriented programming like C, C++, Java. Sorry, C++ and Java. This also allow you to reuse code more often. So this JavaScript also, by using this JavaScript also we can use the code. It's reusable codes we can create by using this JavaScript. The first type of thing, that is functions. Functions are the central working unit of JavaScript. Almost all the scripting code uses one or more functions to get the desired result. If you want your page to provide certain user-defined functionality, then functions are a convenient way of doing so. Therefore, it is important that you understand what a function is and how it works. Now we are discussing what a function is and how one function will be worked. So first let us understand the basic syntax of a function. Then after that we look at how we can call the function. Then after that you must know how to pass arguments and why you need to do this. Finally, you have to know how to return a value from a function. So we will discuss it one by one. First one, the function can be called using the following syntax. Here, this is the way that we can define a function. So the syntax for declaring a function, first we want to use the keyword function, 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 then give the function name. Here the name of the function is example, then the argument list. These are the argument list. Here we used two arguments A and B. Then inside the function, another variable we used, that is s equal to a plus b. Then an alert message will be printed over here, alert sum equal to, then give the value of s. It will pass the value of s to the alert screen. So this is an example of a function. Then how we can, this is the function definition. Then how we can call the function. So the function can be called using the following syntax. What is the syntax? What is the syntax for calling a function? First we want to give the function name. What's the name of the function here? The name of the function here is example. At this example function we want to pass two values. First here we pass the value, that is 5, then 2. Then what will happen? 5 will be copied to the variable A and 2 will be copied to the variable B. Now the value of A equal to 5 and B equal to 2. Then S equal to A plus B means 5 plus 2. What's the value of S now? That is 7. Then alert, it will print. Alert means it will print, display or pop up an alert box, and we will discuss later. And in that alert, it will print the constant sum equal to, then the value of S, that is 7. It will print 7. When we call this function by passing two arguments, two values, that is 5 and 7, then the result will be like this, sum equal to 7. Okay, in fact, when you define the function example, you create a new JavaScript command that you can call from anywhere on the page. So this is the function part. You can call this function anywhere in the page. Whenever you call it, JavaScript code inside the curly brackets. This is the opening bracket and this is the closing bracket. Will be executed. Okay, this is the way that it will work. Then the arguments. So you can pass arguments to a function. In the previous example, A and B are the arguments. The values passed to that A and B are 5 and 2. So you can pass arguments to a function. These are variables. Arguments, here we use variables, either number or string, any data type that we can use, which are used inside the function. And the values that we passed to the arguments will be used inside the function, which are used inside the function. Of course, the output of the function depends on the arguments you passed. In the following example, we passed two arguments. That is, the first example, we passed the values 5 and 2. Like this example, not this example of 5, 2, not 1, 2. When these arguments arrive at the function, they are stored in two variables, that is a equal to 5. The first argument or first value will be stored in the first argument 5 and the second one 2 will be stored in the variable b or argument b. Then you have to declare these in the function header, as we can see below. Function, this is the function header. Function, this is a keyword that you have to use like that, the same small letters FUNCTION. Then you can give a function name. Here we give it as example. Then the argument a and b. This is the way that we can declare this argument. Here one example. HTML head script language equal to JavaScript, then the function. What is the function? Name, example is the function name. So we declare a function inside this JavaScript function example. In this example, we should pass two arguments. We are using two arguments and we want to pass two values. Then here another variable they declare inside this type of variable, that we call it as the local variable. That means this number, the value of this, the scope of this variable number will be inside this loop, inside this function only. So we declare a local variable called a number, and number plus equal to a, the value of number equal to number plus a. Then print an alert message, that is you have chosen, then the value of b. So this end of the script. And started body. Form name equal to select form. We declare a form. Then p means a new paragraph. We want to make the text bold. Click the button below. So this is the output. Click the button below will be in bold. Colon. Then br. Again the put a break, line break. Then again put a paragraph p. Input. Type equal to button. This is the button. Value equal to click. What we want to print inside the button, that should be give over here, value equal to click. Then on click, when the user click on it, click on that button, what will happen? It will call the function example with the values 1, house. So two arguments in the example function, two arguments should be passed when we call that function. So the first value is 1, it's an integer type or number type value, and the second one is house, that is a string type value. So when we click it, when we click the button, what will happen? It will call the function example and passes the values 1 and house to the arguments a and b. Now the value of a equal to 1, the value of b equal to house. Okay, we are number equal to number plus a initially. Now value is initialized when we declare the variable number, so it may be 0. 0 plus a means 1, then the value of number equal to 1. Then alert, you have chosen b. So you have chosen colon, what's the value of b here? The value of b equal to house, it will print the value of b. So when we click this button, click the button, what will happen? It will display an alert box. What is this? On click, alert, it will display an alert box, and the text inside the alert box is you have chosen. Then after that it will pass the value of b. Value of b is house. So you have chosen, put a colon, then house. An alert box by default they should have an OK button. So you can click that OK button. So this is the output of this program. So it adds 1 to number and displays you have chosen house. Of course, if you call the function like 5, palace, for example, when we are calling instead of 1, house, 5, palace, then what will happen? 5, value of 5 will be stored to the variable a, and the value palace will be stored to the variable B. Then alert, you have chosen B, means you have chosen, instead of this house, you have chosen palace will be displayed over here. So the output of a function depends on the argument you give it. So what arguments that we are passing to will be the output of the function. Then next one is returning a value. One more thing a function can do is to return a value. From the function we can return a value. Suppose we have to follow the function here, HTML, okay, script language equal to Java. Here we used a function. This is the body of the function. The name of the function is calculate. Function calculate a comma b comma c, means three arguments are there. D equal to a plus b into c. Then we used the return statement D. So this is the body part, script language equal to JavaScript. Inside the body we declared the script. This is also possible. So normally we are giving the script and slash script in the head part. We can give more than one script part in an HTML page. We can give the same in the body also. So in the body, script language equal to JavaScript, then varx equal to calculate of 4 comma 5 comma 9, var y equal to calculate of x by 3 comma 3 escape x by 3 comma 3 comma 5. Then alert calculate 4 comma 5 comma 6 equal to, it will printed as such, this much a portion. Then plus x, that is the concatenation symbol. Here we used as plus symbol. Concatenation, you know that what it means. Concatenation means combining different data types. We are giving this concatenation symbol plus, and the value of x will be printed over there. Then again we use the concatenation symbol plus and a string over here. Then again we use the concatenation symbol and put the closing string. So we can check how it will be worked. Here this is the function call, and this part is the function definition. So here we are calling the function x equal to, means what? There will be one return from the function, and the value will be stored in the variable x. So x equal to calculate of 4 comma 5 comma 9 means from this function calculate, one return statement is there, and one value will be returned from that function, and the return value will be stored in the variable x. Okay, and in that function we have to pass three arguments. When you call the function, when you call the calculate function, you have to pass three variables, because function calculate a comma b comma c is there. So the value of 4 will be stored to the variable a, and the value of 5 will be stored to the variable b, and the value 9 will be stored to the variable c. And d equal to a plus b into c. What's the value of a? 4 plus 5 into 9. So 4 plus 5, sorry, 4 plus 5, 9 into 9. So the value, the output will be 81. Here not the addition symbol, it is the multiplication symbol. So 4 plus 5, 9 into 9, not 2. So the value will be 18. 81. Again, var y equal to calculate of, what's the value of x? Value of x equal to 81 by 3. 81 by 3. What is that? It is 27. So it will print 27, and 27 will be stored to the variable a. 27 and 3 will be stored to the variable B, and 5 will be stored to the variable C. So 27, 3, 5. So again it will print 27 plus 3 into 5. What is that? 27 into 3 means 30 into 5. That is 150. So now the value of D equal to 150. And it will return the value D to the variable Y. So now the value of Y equal to 150. So alert, calculate 4, 5, 9 equal to X. So it will print calculate 4, 5, 9 equal to, what's the value of X? That is 81. Then it will print and. So it will print and. Then calculate X by 3, 3, 5. Calculate X by 3, 3, 5 equal to value of Y. What's the value of Y? That is 150. It's an alert box, so it will print or it will display the OK button over here. So this is the function with return value. Function with arguments and return value. So the function calculates and return a number from the numbers you pass to it. The function passes the result back. The function passes the result back to the function that called it. When the function executes the return statement, control goes back to the calling program without executing any more code in the function, if there is any. So after this return statement, if you are writing some more code, then it will not execute that code. When the return statement commences, what will happen? The function will terminate and the value along with that return statement will be passed to the called function. That is here or here. Then the calling of the function is done using the following two statements in the figure, that is X equal to calculate of 4, 5, 9 and Y equal to calculate of X by 3, 3, 5. It means that you have declare a variable X and are telling JavaScript to execute calculate with the argument 4, 5, 9, that is 4, 5, 9, and to put the returned value, what will be the returned value? That is 81 in X. That is the meaning of this line. We are X equal to calculate 4, 5, 9. The meaning of that line is this. Then you declare another variable Y and execute calculate function again. The first argument is X by 3. What's the value of X? That is 81 by 3, which means 81 by 3 equal to 27. So Y become 150. Of course, you can also return strings or even Boolean value. So here the data type of the return value is integer. You can also return a string value or Boolean type. Then executing deferred script. Deferred script do not do anything immediately. That type of scripts that we call it as deferred script. In order to use deferred commands, you must call them from outside the deferred script. So how we can call this deferred script? You have to call them outside the deferred script. There are three ways to call the deferred script: from immediate scripts using the function mechanism, by user initiative events using event handler, by clicking on a link or an image map zones that are associated with the script that we are discussing. So calling deferred code from a script. Actually, a function is a deferred script. Why we call it as a function as a deferred script? Because it does not do anything until an event, a function or a JavaScript link or an immediate script calls it. So normally functions are deferred script. Why we call it as a deferred script? Because it is not does not do anything until it explicitly called, otherwise it will be there as such. So we can call a function as a default script. You have probably noticed that you can call a function from within a script. We can call the function from within a script. Sometimes you are interested in calling functions from the same script, and in other case you might want to call it from another script. Both these are possible. Here we declared the function in one script, function definition, and call the function from another script. So that is also possible. Then calling deferred code from a script. Calling a function from the same script is very simple. You just need to specify the name of the function like this. Here, script language equal to JavaScript, make line of 30. So before declaring the function, we called the function by using, this is the function name and this is the value for the argument. Here after that we declared the function make line of line width. Then document.write hr size equal to, what's the use of this hr? That is horizontal ruler, size equal to line width. First it will print a horizontal line with the size of 30. So this is the line with size 30. Then after that, again it will call the function make line of 10. So it will display a line of size. Then we close the script. So we declared a function in a script and called the function 2 times within the same script. This is one example. Then another one, JavaScript objects. A JavaScript object is an instance of data type. What is an JavaScript object? It's an instance of data type. So number, boolean, string, all these are data type. Another type of data, that is another data type is objects. Object is given a unique name and the collection of properties of the corresponding object may be accessed using the dot syntax. If you studied C++ or Java, you know that what is this object and how we can call the object by using the dot operator. So as a quick introduction to the concept of JavaScript objects, here is the code that creates an instance of an object called myObj. So here variable myObj equal to, we have to use the keyword new and object function. So myObj.business equal to, this is one value, myObj.ceo equal to another value, myObj.ticker equal to another value. Then after having run that code in a scope situation that allows myObj to be accessed as required, you could run like this, document.write myObject_ticker symbol is. How we can call this property? By using the dot operator along with the instance of that object. So myObj.ticker. If you want ticker, then myObj.ticker, or if you want to call the CEO, then myObj.ceo also you can call, or myObj.business. This is same as that of Java objects or C++ objects. The next one, document objects. The document object is a property of the window object, the output window object. This object is containing, this object is the container for all HTML head and body object associated with the HTML tag of an HTML document. So these are some examples and the things that are written over there in your textbook. These are the document object properties and nothing more. So A-link color, BG color, cookies, domain, all these are document objects properties. Then document objects methods or functions. First one is clear. This is one method for the document object. Close context. Only this much of things are there in your text. Just go through that. There is no programming part. The next one, predefined objects. Let us consider some of the most frequently used predefined objects provided in JavaScript. Predefined objects means predefined, like predefined functions. So the math object. The math object contains a number of manipulating functions. These are the math objects. Normally, we are using it in Java and C++. Also, we are using the same. For example, math.abs to return the absolute value of a number. Math.a cos, a sin, a tan. Then math.min, math.max. Just go through just some simple examples. Calculate e raised to 5. How we can calculate this e raised to e power 5? We can use the math.exponent, exp of 5. Also, you can use to find the cos value math.cos of 2 into math.pi. So this we can use. So if you want to print something, this is the way that you can print. For example, document.write m should be in capital letter math dot, we can use this min function, math.min of 5,6. What will be the output? From that values, the minimum value, that is the smallest value, will be printed. So it will print 5. Again, you can use the max function over here. max, math.max, max of 5. It will print the largest one. That is, it will print 6. Like that, you can check the math objects. Then the with statement. If you intended to invoke math multiple times in your script, a good statement to remember is with. Using it, you can omit the math dot again and again and again. Prefix for any subsequent math properties or methods. For example, math.min, math.max. So, we can omit the math. With, this is the way that we can give with math, var x equal to sin of 3, 5. It means math dot sin of a, 5. The value will be stored in x. Tan of 5 means math dot tan of 5. Result equal to max of x, y. That means math dot max of x, y. That you can use like this with the math within brackets. Then you can use like this. Then date objects. Another object is date objects. The date object is used to work with the dates and times, creating a date instance. So you should create an instance of the date object with the new keyword like this. var myDate equal to new date function. Okay, like this you can create an instance of the date object. After creating an instance of the date object, you can access all the methods of the object from the myDate variable. For example, you want to return the date. Date means it will return 1 to 31. Today the date is 7, so it will return 7 of a date object. You should write the following myDate.getDate function. So here some errors are there. That is, here they used get G capital letter. So it will not work. You have to use the small letter for get date. So myDate.getDate function, for example, document.write myDate.getMonth function. So getMonth function will return the month of a date object, that is 0 to 11. 0 means it's January, 1 means it's February. So if you want to get the correct monthly number, you have to add +1 over here. So date.getMonth function +1, then only first number is 0 over here. Okay, then get full year, get hours, get minutes, get seconds. So the first letter of G should be in lowercase letters like this. This is the output. Then some examples. Date returns the current date including date, month and year. Note that the get month method returns 0 in January, 1 in February, etc. So add 1 to the get month method to display the correct date. Then time returns the current time for the time zone in hours, minutes and seconds. Here one example. VRD equal to new date function. Created an instance of the date object, that is D. So document.write date equal to, it will print date equal to. Then document.write d.getDate function. So it will print today, it will print 7. D.getDate function means it will print the date from 1 to 31. So today is 7. Then document.write a dot, it will print a dot over here. Okay, it's already there, the dot is already there. Then it will print document.write d.getMonth function plus 1, because the first month January is treated as 0. So we want to add 1 to that. So it will print 3. Then again document.write a dot. So the dot is there. Then document.write d.getFull-year function. What is full year function? It will print the full year of the current date 2021. Then document.write BR time. BR time means it will move to the next line and print time equal to. Then document.write d.getHours. On that time it is 13, that is 1 o'clock yesterday. Then document.write dot, it will put a dot over here. Then minutes plus 1, minutes starting from 0. So 46. Then seconds, 3 seconds. So this is the output. It's an example for the date object. Then next one is the array objects. So an array object is used to store a set of values in a single variable name. All of you are familiar with this array. Each value is an element of the array has associated with an index number. We can refer to the particular element in the array by using the name of the array and the index number. The index number starts with the 0. So all of you are familiar with this array. How we can declare this? VAR, this is array name, family underscore names equal to new array of 5. This is the way that we can declare. A should be in capital letter. So here we declared an array named family name, and in that array we can hold a maximum of 5 numbers. Sorry, 5. Here we used strings. Okay. The expected number of elements goes inside the parenthesis. In this case, it is 5. That means we can enter a maximum of 5 values. Then you are saying data to each of the element in the array like this. For example, so family of 0. That means array of 5. var family underscore names equal to new array of 5 means here same variable name that we used, that is family names, and we used an index number along with that. The index number starting with the 0. So family name of 0 equal to, we gave a name. Here family name of 1 equal to another name. 5 names are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 names are there. So this is the way that we can give the data to this array. Then the data can be retrieved from any element by using the index number of that array. For example, mother is a variable equal to family underscore name of 0. What's the value of family underscore 0? That will be stored in the variable mother. Then father equal to family underscore name of 1. What is stored in family underscore 1 will be stored in the variable father. Okay, this is the way. All of you are familiar with this. Then the most commonly used array methods. Then we can use this 1, 2, 3, 4 methods are there. Methods means functions are there that we can use along with this array. First one, length function. So it will return the number of elements in an array. If you are using family names dot length, then it will print 5. How many elements are there inside the family names, 5 elements are there. Reverse means return the array in reverse order. First it will print the last one, then this is the reverse order of the array. It will print in reverse order. Then slice return a specified part of the array. We can give 2 and 3 elements from that array. We can use the slice method. Then sort. By using the sort method, we can sort the array elements in ascending or descending order. This is the length function. So then history object. The history object is a predefined JavaScript object which is accessible through the history property of a window object. The window.history property is an array of URL strings which reflects the entries in the history object. Just theory portions are there. You just go through the history object that we can call by using the window.history property. This is the history object. Then location object, another one. The location object is part of the window object and is accessed through the window.location property. Only theory portions are there. Then check your progress. You just go through. It's in your textbook. Do it. Then message box in JavaScript. Only 10 slides are there. Message box in JavaScript. First one is dialog boxes. Alert box, dialog box, alert box that we already discussed. So this dialog boxes, in this the user cannot switch to a window without closing the current window. That type of window that we call it as a model window. Now it is not there in this type of model window. So this kind of dialog box is referred to as a model dialog box. The model dialog box means, what do you mean by model dialog box? The user cannot switch to the window without closing the current window. Model window, for example, when we are typing something in Microsoft Word and try to save a file, and the save dialog box will be opened. And in that situation, we are trying to type some more text in the Microsoft Word. It is not possible. It will not allow until you close the open or close dialog box. So that type of dialog box that we call it as a model dialog. That means the user cannot switch to the window without closing the current window. So this kind of dialog box is referred to as a model dialog box. You can create a model dialog box with the show model dialog. This is the method. Syntax show model dialog. You can give a message also. And after closing the dialog box, you can access the window. The next one is alert box that we already discussed. Alert box can be utilized for a variety of things such as to display when an input field has not been entered properly. You can give an alert box. For example, in the type your name, then the user is not properly giving the name or properly giving the mobile number. It is not 10 digits. Then you can display an alert message. To display a message on the document, open or close. When the document is open, then you can show a message, and when closed, you can show a message like that. To inform someone that they have clicked a link to leave your site, then whatever the construction is essentially the same. Syntax is alert, then what message that we want to convey should be give in the message part. This is the function ALERT. This is one example. So input type equal to button, value equal to open alert box. This is the thing, open alert box. On click, when you click that, what will happen? It will open alert. Place your message here. It will print the place your message here over here. Then the next line, it will print click OK to continue. So click OK to continue. This is the default OK button in the alert box. So this is one example. Another one, link also you can use. Here this is the link. When you click that link, it will print the same message alert. Place your message here. Click OK to continue. So this is the alert box. The next one, confirm box. The JavaScript confirm alert box differs from a regular alert box in that it provides two choices to the user, OK or cancel. But in the alert box, you can see only OK button, and in confirm box, it will be displayed OK and also cancel. Typically, you will see confirm box utilized on the links where the destination is outside the domain of the page you are currently on, or to alert you to potentially objectionable material. The following example will display a confirmation alert box when either a link or a form button is clicked. Okay. Once either OK or cancel are selected, an alert box will follow to display which was chosen. This is an example. Here, use the function confirm entry. So input box confirm, click OK or cancel to continue. Then output is there. Here form on submit equal to confirm entry. So input type equal to submit, form on submit, confirm entry function will be it will call. So this is the confirm entry button. Then in that confirm entry button, input box equal to confirm, it will open the confirm dialog box. Click OK or cancel to continue. So click OK or cancel to continue. It will display this. Two buttons are there, OK and cancel. When we click the button OK, then what will happen? If input box equal to true means you click the OK button. When you click the OK button, the value will be stored in the input box should be true, otherwise false. So if input, what all things that we use will be stored in the variable input box, and if the value of input box equal to true means you click the OK button, then alert you click the OK button. Otherwise means what? You click the cancel button, then the value will be stored to false over here. So it will print you click cancel. Then prompt box is there. Prompt box. The prompt box allows the user to enter information. The prompt box title text cannot be changed, and the same applies to button text. You can have two lines of text by using the /n symbol. Then the text entry field is similar to that of input type equal to text, and two buttons are there, OK and cancel. So prompt, this is the syntax, prompt your message, comma, what is the title that you can go over here. Example, we are person equal to prompt, please enter your name. So it will print, please enter your name over here. Please enter your name. Then you can give a default value. It will be printed in the text area. This is the default value. Then the user can change it. Just click and select and type the delete and type the new value. Then what value the user gave will be stored in the variable person here. So document.write person. So what the value over here will be stored in the variable person, and that will be printed in the output window. So document.write person. When you click OK, display the text you entered. So when we type the text and click the OK button, then the entered text will be stored to the variable. And when we click the cancel button, then in the variable person, null will be stored. Then based on that, you can check the value. So JavaScript with HTML. Events. Events are actions that can be detected by JavaScript. So an example would be the on mouse event. When the mouse is on to some particular, over some particular object, which is detected when the user moves a mouse over an object. That is on mouse event, on mouse over event. Another event is that on load event, which is detected as soon as the page is finished loading, on load event. So these are some events are there. Mouse up event is there, mouse down event is there. These are some events that are worked with this JavaScript. Then event handlers. An event handler executes a segment of a code based on certain events occurring within the application such as onload or onClick. So event handlers executes a segment of code. If onload, we are giving we are writing some statements in the onload event, then it will execute when the page will be loaded. And onClick means when we are clicking, that piece of code will be executed. That is onload, onEvent, event handlers. JavaScript event handlers can be divided into two parts: interactive event handlers and non-interactive event handlers. An interactive event handler is the one that depends on the user interaction. When the user clicks somewhere, or when the user moves a mouse over some buttons. Then, for example, onMouseOver is an interactive event handler because it depends on the user's action with the mouse. Then, an example for a non-interactive event handler is onLoad. It automatically executes JavaScript code without the need for an user interaction. So, these are the two types of interactive event handlers and non-interactive event handlers. Then, onload and onUnload. Onload and onUnload are mainly used for pops that appear when the user enters or leaves the page. Onload means the page when the page loads, and onUnload means when the page closes. Then onFocus and onBlur. The onFocus event handler executes the specified JavaScript code or function on the occurrence of a focus event. This can be caused by the user clicking on the current window, frame or element by using the tab key to cycle through the various elements on the screen, or by a call to the window.focus method. The onFocus event handler uses the event object properties, type and target. So onFocus means when the control comes to a particular object, that we will discuss by using an example. So the syntax is onFocus equal to script. I will explain with the help of this is input, type equal to text, name equal to my text, value equal to give me focus, onFocus, change value function, call the change value function. So this is the output. Input, type equal to text, name equal to my text, value equal to give me focus. This is the value, give me focus. And onFocus. onFocus means when you click in this text box, onFocus event will be triggered. Then what is given over there? That is change value function will be called. When you click your mouse, or when you press the tab key and the control will come over here, then what will happen? That is the onFocus event. Then it will call change val function. What is inside change val function? S1 equal to I am feeling focused. Document.myform.mytext.value equal to S1 dot to uppercase. Then when you click here, then what will happen? The text inside this text box will be changed to I am feeling focused, and it will be in uppercase letters. So this is the output. When you click it over here, then what will happen? The onFocus will be triggered. Then it will call change value method or change value function. So in the change value function, it stores I am feeling focused in the variable S1, and it will print document dot it will print change the value inside the my text, that is S1 dot to uppercase. So what is in S1? I am feeling focused will be printed in uppercase letters. That is printed over here. Then onBlur equal to script. B should be in capital letter, onBlur. The onBlur event handler executes the specified JavaScript code or function on the occurrence of a blur event. What do you mean by blur event? It is when the window, frame or form element loses the focus. So onFocus means the control coming to this text box, then it will trigger. On blur means when control moves out of the object, it will trigger. So this is one example. It will print email address. It is printed over here, email address, input type equal to text, value equal to null, name equal to user email. Then after that, on blur means first we want to click over here and we want to type the mail ID here. So a@bb.com is mail ID. Then we want to click another place. What will, or we want to press the tab key. Then the focus will be moved out of the object. Then what will happen? The on blur event handler will be executed. So on blur, what will happen? Add check function will be called. What is inside on check function? It will print an alert box. It will display an alert box, and in that alert box, it will print, please check your email details are correct before submitting. So this is the alert box. Please check your email details are correct before submitting. OK button will be over there by default. So this is on blur and on focus. On focus means the focus coming to that object, and on blur means the focus goes out from the focus. Then on error, if some error occurs, this on error will be triggered. The on error event handler executes the specified JavaScript code or function on the occurrence of an error event. This happens when an image or document causes an error during loading. This event handler will only be triggered by JavaScript error, not a browser error. So apart from the on error handler triggering a JavaScript function, it can also be set to on error equal to null. If some error is occurred and you don't want to do anything, then you have to specify that on error equal to null. So which suppresses the standard JavaScript error dialog box. Otherwise, it will print and it will show a error dialog box. So this is the way that we can give function. Here the body img src equal to flower.jpg. We are trying to load the image flower.jpg. On error means if the flower.jpg file is not there, then we want to call the function errfun. So it will call the function. If one error occurs, it will call the function. This is the function errfun, alert error loading image. Then if the flower.jpg file is not there, then what will happen? It will display an alert box. This is the alert box, and the text is error loading image. It will print error loading image, and the OK button is already there in the alert box. So this is the last slide, and this case study is there. You have to go through this case study. More exercises are over there. You have to go through all these. So okay, so this is the end of this JavaScript